Not being happy with where my life is going, I decided to change it, and I took it and put it in my own hands. Had work clothes on, and I went to work and built some cars that no one's ever seen before.
Never been this many cars here before 9 o'clock. I'm having a big feeling that it's going to be a full house today. I like this little hot rod, eh? Tony Gadet. Yeah, cool. Looks good, man. It's my fault, but in the end, it's my fault because I probably did wrong, but you shouldn't be picking at me. Don't pick at anybody. Don't bother anybody. You get picking at somebody. You know what happens? You get picking at a dog. It'll bite you.
Not being happy with where my life is going, I decided to change it, and I took it and put it in my own hands. Those simple words changed everything for one man from a tiny town in Nova Scotia. But what happened when the cameras stopped rolling? When fame twisted into something he never asked for? When loss after loss piled up until the weight became almost unbearable? Today, we're uncovering the real story of Chad Hiltz from Bad Chad Customs. And I need to warn you right now, this journey goes to places you never expected, places that will break your heart, places that might just change how you think about success, family, and what really matters in life.
It's not what you have, it's what you can make.
Before we dive into what happened, hit that subscribe button, because Chad's story, it's a warning and an inspiration wrapped into one. And you absolutely need to hear every word.
Some people have opinions, some people have thoughts, and they say things, or somebody says something, and they really don't take the time and think. And that's why I always say it's easier to judge because you don't have to think.
The beginning. Dreams built from scrap metal. Let me paint you a picture. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine Canning, Nova Scotia. Population? Barely 1,000 souls. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody, where dreams are supposed to be small and practical. In this forgotten corner of Canada, in a workshop that most people would call a garage, one man was about to shake up the entire custom car world. Chad Hiltz wasn't born into privilege. No trust fund, no family connections in the automotive industry, no fancy education from some prestigious design school. What Chad had was something far more powerful, a vision that refused to die. Can you imagine looking at a pile of rusted scrap metal and seeing a Bugatti? Can you picture examining coat hangers and thinking, yeah, I can build a car with that? Most people would see garbage. Chad saw possibility. When Discovery Channel scouts found him, they struck gold. Not the polished, corporate, manufactured for television kind of gold. Raw, unfiltered, authentic gold. The kind that makes viewers stop scrolling and actually pay attention. Bad Chad Customs premiered, and the response was instant and overwhelming. People were mesmerized. Here was a show that felt completely different from everything else on television. No massive corporate budgets, no celebrity endorsements, no Hollywood polish. Just Chad, his fiancée Jolene, his son Colton, and a small crew of local believers who understood that impossible is just another word for not yet. Week after week, they transformed literal trash into automotive masterpieces. They took things people had thrown away and created art that belonged in museums. But here's the part nobody tells you about overnight success, the part the cameras never show. It's never actually overnight.
We're in the new shop right now because Doug's working on this Thunderbird. I just want to get over here for a minute and apologize for yesterday, of my behavior, and anything I say right now, it's my fault.
The hidden cost of television fame. Behind every beautiful episode you watched, there was absolute chaos. Discovery's production schedule was relentless. Back-to-back builds, impossible deadlines, constant pressure to deliver content that would keep viewers engaged. And here's something crucial about creativity that television executives often forget. You cannot schedule inspiration like a factory assembly line. You cannot force artistic vision to show up at 9 a.m. because a producer needs footage by 5 p.m. Chad was learning this harsh truth in real time. Think about it. Projects that should naturally take 3 or 4 months were suddenly compressed into 3 or 4 weeks. Budgets that looked reasonable on paper became nightmares when reality kicked in. Every single delay meant money disappearing. Every extra day meant tensions rising like water behind a cracking dam. The pressure was building, and building, and building. Then everything changed.
The reason I'm spraying at high pressure is because I don't want texture. I don't want texture in the paint.
When the world stopped spinning, March 2020. You remember it, don't you? We all do. That moment when the entire world just stopped. For a show that depended completely on teamwork, close physical quarters, and constant collaborative movement, the pandemic was absolutely devastating. Supply chains that had worked for decades crumbled overnight. Hardware stores closed their doors. The already small crew got even smaller as safety protocols kicked in and people had to isolate. Suddenly, filming a television show about building custom cars became the least important thing in a world desperately fighting for survival. But here's the cruel part. The pressure didn't stop just because there was a global crisis. Discovery still demanded content. Sponsors still expected results. Fans still wanted new episodes. The machine kept demanding to be fed, even as the world was falling apart. The ratings remained steady. Good, even. But in the brutal mathematics of television economics, good isn't always good enough. Discovery was shifting their focus to bigger shows, bigger names, bigger budgets. And a small shop in Nova Scotia, no matter how talented, was becoming harder and harder to justify in boardroom discussions. Then came the complication that absolutely nobody saw coming.
But it was my dream, and I put the hours and time in, and I'm the one who built it. I welded it, I filled it, I painted it, I helped polish it, I made the windows for it. I'm the mother hen.
The Green Goblin problem. Remember Chad's most iconic build? That bright green, sharp-grinned masterpiece that became synonymous with his brand? The Green Goblin, the car that put Bad Chad Customs on the map? It was absolutely perfect, instantly memorable, infinitely marketable. It was the build that defined everything Chad represented. It was also a massive legal problem. Sometime in 2020, while Chad was desperately juggling pandemic restrictions and impossible production demands, an envelope arrived at the shop. Inside, a cease and desist letter from Marvel Comics. I need you to stop and really imagine this scenario for a second. You're a small-town builder who's finally getting recognition after years of struggling. Your signature build, the one creation that everyone across North America associates with your name, suddenly becomes legally off-limits, not because you did anything criminal or malicious, simply because a corporate giant decided to protect their intellectual property rights. What would you do in that situation? Would you fight back? Would you hire expensive lawyers you probably can't afford? Would you make noise on social media and hope public pressure changes their mind? Chad did none of those things. He made a decision that reveals everything about his character. he simply let it go, renamed everything, rebranded completely to Hiltz Auto Co., updated all the merchandise, all the shop signs, all the social media profiles, every single thing that referenced the old name. Was it expensive? Absolutely devastating. Was it frustrating beyond words? You can't even imagine. But Chad had learned something crucial about himself and his work. The cars were never really about the names or the branding. They were always about the craft, the artistry, the vision made real. People came for the cars, not the labels, he said later. Simple words, honest words, true words. But here's the part that should make your heart absolutely sink.
As we made a deal with TV, I built the cars, they made the show. And basically that's how it goes. But me and Jolene own the cars.
The silence that spoke volumes. The Green Goblin controversy happened at literally the worst possible moment in Chad's career. The pandemic was still raging. Production had become nearly impossible. Sponsors were pulling back their support. Discovery was restructuring their entire lineup. And then, nothing. Season 2 wrapped in August 2020. No finale announcement. No see you next season promise. No proper farewell episode for loyal fans. The show just stopped existing. Fans waited and waited. Days crawled into weeks. Weeks stretched into months. Social media remained eerily silent. No promotional materials, no teaser trailers, nothing at all. Do you know what that kind of silence sounds like? It sounds exactly like cancellation, but delivered by cowards who don't have the courage to actually say the words out loud. Bad Chad Customs was over. Nobody at Discovery Channel had the basic human decency to make it official. The show that had brought joy to millions just disappeared like it had never existed. Like Chad's vision and hard work and sacrifice meant nothing at all. When fame becomes a weapon, here's what reality television never shows you. What happens when the cameras finally turn off and the criticism turns on full blast? Chad went from being a respected small-town builder to being recognized everywhere across North America. That sounds like a dream come true, doesn't it? It was actually a nightmare. With fame came scrutiny, not the constructive, helpful kind of criticism that makes you better. The vicious, personal, soul-crushing kind that tears you apart piece by piece. Online forums exploded with opinions from people who'd never built anything in their lives. Other builders, some jealous, some genuinely concerned, questioned every single one of his methods. Too fast, they complained. Skips crucial steps, they claimed. They claimed. Some even accused the entire show of being completely staged and fake. Try to imagine this for just a moment. You spend your entire life, every single day since you were old enough to hold tools, perfecting your craft. You pour your heart, your soul, your very identity into every single build. You open yourself up completely and share your entire creative process with the world, and the response? Strangers on the internet, people who've never met you and never will, telling you that you're doing everything wrong, that you're a fraud, that you don't deserve the recognition you've received. Chad tried to brush it off at first. That's what everyone tells you to do, right? Ignore the haters. Don't read the comments. Focus on the work. But the noise kept growing. Louder and louder. Meaner and more personal. More vicious and cruel. They criticized his builds with technical jargon they barely understood. They criticized his on-screen attitude and personality. They even criticized the mess in his shop, as if genuine creativity happens in some sterile, perfectly organized corporate environment. The exhaustion was setting in. Not the physical kind. Chad could handle 16-hour workdays without blinking. This was something far worse. This was soul-deep exhaustion, the kind that makes you question why you even started in the first place, the kind that steals your passion and replaces it with dread. But the hardest blow, the one that nearly broke him completely, it wasn't coming from internet strangers at all. The loss that changed everything, late 2024. While Chad was desperately trying to manage online criticism and mounting shop pressures, his fiancée Jolene received news that would absolutely shatter their entire world. Her mother, Jacqueline Jackie McIntyre, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Let those words sink in for a moment. Terminal. The word doctors use when there's absolutely no hope remaining, when all medical science can do is make whatever time is left as comfortable and pain-free as possible, when you have to start planning a funeral instead of planning treatments. For Jolene, the organizational backbone of Hiltz Auto Company, the person who kept absolutely everything running smoothly while Chad focused on building, this news was devastating beyond any words I could possibly write. And here's the part that will break your heart into a million pieces. Jackie passed away just 5 weeks later. 5 weeks from diagnosis to death, at only 61 years old. I need you to truly understand something here. Jolene wasn't just Chad's romantic partner. She managed all the books and finances. She handled every single sponsorship deal. She coordinated all the complex logistics that kept a custom shop running. Chad was the visible creative force everyone saw on camera. Jolene was the invisible engine that kept the entire business moving forward every single day. When grief hit her with that devastating force, it didn't just affect her personally. It affected absolutely everything. How do you manage complicated business operations when you can barely force yourself to get out of bed in the morning? How do you think clearly about sponsorships and deadlines and contracts when you've just lost your mother? How do you possibly continue at the same relentless pace when your heart has been shattered into a million jagged pieces? The answer is simple and heartbreaking. You can't. And you absolutely shouldn't have to.
Okay? So don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, all that sort of stuff.
Okay, what am I gonna do? Start from the half, go
Start.
1, 2, 3, go over
No,
here, 1.
no, just go right straight up. Just go right straight up.
The decision that saved them early, 2025. Chad and Jolene sat down together and made a decision that took more courage than any custom build ever could. They had to slow down, significantly. This wasn't about quitting or giving up. This wasn't about admitting failure or defeat. This was about pure survival, about choosing mental health and emotional recovery over content schedules and public expectations and revenue projections. They completely restructured the business model, delegated more responsibilities to their small but trusted team, took actual time to breathe, to grieve properly, to heal without rushing the process. The YouTube uploads slowed down noticeably. The couple appeared less frequently in public. They stepped back from the constant, exhausting grind. And immediately, I mean within days, fans started wildly speculating. The shop must have closed down completely. They must have gone bankrupt from the legal issues. Chad and Jolene must have broken up. That's why we never see them together anymore. None of it was remotely true. Not a single word. But that didn't stop the rumors from spreading like wildfire across social media. Car forums absolutely exploded with elaborate theories. Social media platforms flooded with baseless speculation. People who had never met Chad or Jolene, who knew absolutely nothing about their actual lives, suddenly became experts on their relationship status and business operations. Some claimed with absolute certainty that Jolene had left the shop permanently. Others insisted she'd moved to a different province entirely. A few created wildly elaborate breakup narratives completely out of thin air, dramatic stories with absolutely zero basis in reality. All because two people who just experienced devastating loss took time to grieve like normal human beings. The mystery of the missing crew. But the relationship rumors weren't the only mystery brewing during this dark period. Around this same time, longtime fans noticed something else strange happening. Doug and Nate, two regulars who'd been fixtures on the Bad Chad YouTube channel for years, had completely vanished. No goodbye video, no announcement or explanation, no thanks for the memories post. They just stopped appearing in videos, and nobody said a word about it. At first, nobody really questioned it. Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe they were working on other projects. Maybe they'd be back next week. But weeks turned into months. The comments started piling up relentlessly. Where are Doug and Nate? What happened to the original crew? Why isn't anyone addressing this? The theories started immediately, as they always do. Money disputes over fair compensation, credit disagreements about who contributed what to which builds, royalty arguments about YouTube revenue. Some fans claimed with certainty that Doug and Nate had quit over unfair treatment. Others hinted darkly at behind-the-scenes drama that would never see the light of day. Chad never addressed it directly. No public statement. No clarification. Complete silence. What we do know from piecing together available information is this. By late 2024, both Doug and Nate had definitively moved on to other opportunities. Their last appearances came in summer videos that seemed to hint at significant changes coming. By fall, they were gone permanently. For Chad, this was so much more than just losing employees or co-workers. Doug had been the steady, reliable presence behind the welding torch for years. Nate had handled the delicate, precise work, radiator repairs, fine, detailed welding, the technical stuff that doesn't look impressive on camera, but makes everything else actually possible. Without them, Chad suddenly had to carry significantly more weight. The shop's entire rhythm changed overnight. The workload increased dramatically, and the pressure, it just kept building and building. The comeback. Nobody expected September 2025. After months of deafening silence and endless speculation, a new video suddenly appeared on the Bad Chad YouTube channel. When curious fans clicked play, there they were, Chad and Jolene, together, working side by side just like always, laughing, creating, looking okay. Not perfect, not like nothing terrible had happened, not pretending everything was magically fine, but present, real, genuinely alive and moving forward. The video was refreshingly casual. No big dramatic production, no carefully scripted explanations, no addressing every rumor individually. Just Chad introducing exciting new projects, sincerely thanking fans for their incredible patience, and getting right back to the work he loved. Jolene was right there beside him, managing filming and providing updates just like she'd always done. The same natural teamwork, the same gentle humor, the same undeniable spark that made people fall in love with Bad Chad Customs in the first place. The breakup rumors? Dead on arrival. The wild speculation about the shop closing permanently? Immediately proven completely false. Sometimes, the absolute best response to vicious rumors is just showing up consistently and doing the work that matters. And that's exactly what they did. The videos started flowing regularly again. The views came flooding back, tens of thousands per upload, just like the good old days. The community that had been genuinely worried and confused could finally breathe a collective sigh of relief. Their message was clear, without being stated. We're still here, we're still building, we're still us. The YouTube revolution. Here's where Chad's story takes an absolutely unexpected turn. Most people would look at the cancellation of their television show as the definitive end of their dreams. The final chapter, game over. Chad saw it as a brand new beginning. Without suffocating network deadlines, without producers constantly calling the shots, without the manufactured pressure to create fake drama for ratings, Chad turned to something he could fully control. His own camera, his own schedule, and his own growing audience. YouTube became his new stage, his new platform, his new future, and he absolutely crushed it in ways nobody predicted. By 2025, the Bad Chad YouTube channel had generated more than 200 million views. 200 million! Let that staggering number truly sink in for a moment. Over 389,000 dedicated subscribers tuned in regularly, many showing up like clockwork at 6 p.m. every single evening, ready to watch Chad and Jolene work their magic without network interference. But here's the beautiful part that makes this entire story worth telling. There was absolutely no television filter anymore. No carefully scripted drama, no manufactured tension created in editing rooms, just pure, raw, authentic creativity. The exact stuff that made people love the original show. Only now, it was completely unfiltered and real. The financial freedom nobody talks about. Let me break down something really important here that changes everything. The Discovery Channel show? It paid okay. Not terrible by any means, but definitely not life-changing money. YouTube? YouTube completely changed the entire game in ways Chad never imagined. Ad revenue from those millions of views became steady and reliable enough to fund major new projects, including a massive 60 or 100-foot shop expansion built almost entirely from YouTube earnings with no network money involved. Then there's the merchandise revolution. T-shirts, hoodies, hats emblazoned with the Bad Chad logo. Fans weren't just passively watching anymore, they were actively buying, enthusiastically supporting, genuinely investing in the brand they'd come to love. Some industry reports estimate their total earnings since 2016 at approximately $2 million. Now, before you think that sounds like an absolute fortune, remember this crucial fact. Most of that money went directly back into the shop. Better professional tools, bigger working space, more ambitious projects, better equipment for Colton. Chad put it perfectly simply. We're not rich by any definition, but we get to wake up every single day and do this work we love. And honestly, that's more than enough. That's the real secret to happiness, isn't it? Not endlessly chasing millions, not desperately trying to become the next massive automotive empire. Just doing work you genuinely love, with people you truly care about, completely on your own terms, without compromise. the father-son bond restored. But you know what? The most important resurrection in this entire story wasn't about YouTube views or shop expansions or revenue streams. It was about something infinitely more precious and personal. Colton Hiltz, Chad's son, had grown up completely surrounded by his father's all-consuming work. The constant noise of cars and tools, the endless parade of projects, the cameras always rolling, the pressure never stopping. As Colton matured into young adulthood, he naturally needed space to discover his own identity and forge his own path. That's completely normal. That's psychologically healthy. That's what good parents want for their children. When Chad started recording YouTube videos on his own terms and schedule, something magical happened. Colton gradually returned to the shop, working together again without the crushing pressure of network deadlines and manufactured drama, gave them a precious chance to rebuild a father-son bond that had stretched dangerously thin during those intense Bad Chad Customs filming years. Those years when Chad was always busy, always filming, always chasing the next impossible deadline, always too exhausted for quality family time. Here's what strikes me as deeply profound about this. Success can cost you the very relationships that make success meaningful in the first place. Chad had achieved fame and widespread recognition, but at what cost? Countless irreplaceable hours with his son, precious moments that never, ever come back. The YouTube era gave him something money absolutely cannot buy: a genuine second chance at fatherhood. Colton's moment, in the spotlight. Then, in June 2025, something absolutely remarkable happened that brought everything full circle. Colton entered a competitive regional motorcycle competition, not as Chad Hiltz's son, but as his own builder with his own vision, and won the prestigious Fan Favorite Award. This wasn't just another trophy gathering dust on a shelf. This was the defining moment when Colton stepped out from his famous father's long shadow and became recognized as a legitimate builder in his own right. His own creative vision, his own distinctive style, his own hard-earned recognition. Chad shared Colton's victory online, and you could genuinely feel the overwhelming pride radiating through every single word. This wasn't a father desperately trying to take credit or share the spotlight. This was a father purely celebrating his son's completely independent achievement. At Hiltz Auto Company, Colton gradually took on more significant responsibility, major fabrication work that required real skill, key builds for upcoming shows and important clients, and dedicated fans noticed immediately. Watching the two of them work together in harmony felt like watching a perfect circle complete itself naturally. For Chad, having Colton back in the shop brought something he hadn't felt in years: genuine calm, deep peace, a powerful reminder of why he originally fell in love with building in the first place. It wasn't about chasing fame anymore. It wasn't about proving anything to critics or doubters. It was about pure creation, about irreplaceable family bonds, about passing something truly meaningful to the next generation. Building the next generation. Once the suffocating television pressure finally lifted and Chad spent more quality time actually at home, something wonderful began happening naturally. The shop transformed from just a business into something far more valuable: an open classroom, a welcoming space where younger builders could show up, get their hands genuinely dirty, and learn by watching a true master at work. Colton was the first student, but he definitely wasn't the last. Chad started opening the shop doors to local builders without any formality. No complicated applications, no interviews or requirements. Just a simple invitation. You want to learn this craft? Come on in and let's build something together. He gave his time freely and generously, shared hard-earned techniques without holding anything back, offered genuine encouragement when projects got frustrating, gave the same kind of supportive push he once desperately had to find for himself when he was starting out with nothing. At his annual Rockabilly Weekend Festival, something he's been running since way back in 1998, he began offering hands-on demonstrations and workshops. Nothing fancy or corporate, just real chances for young people to pick up a hammer, shape some metal with their own hands, help on a small, meaningful project. Messy, noisy, chaotic, honest, the authentic feel of real shop life. His message to them was beautifully simple. If I could make something meaningful from absolutely nothing, so can you.
Got the rattle out of the front. That's not rattling no more whatsoever. It's not a bad look down there. You can't see much down there. You can't see shit. Blacked out, you still never see nothing.
Where Chad Hiltz stands today. So where does this entire emotional journey leave us? What's actually happening with Chad Hiltz right now, today, at this very moment? At 54 years old, not 44 as some sources incorrectly report, Chad still spends most of his days in that same modest Canning, Nova Scotia shop where this entire story began. That small garage behind his house has slowly evolved into a proper full workshop with an impressive 60 by 100-foot showroom, wide enough to roll in finished cars, position them perfectly under professional lights, and let visitors walk around comfortably without constantly squeezing past toolboxes and equipment. The shop definitely feels busier these days, but the fundamental rhythm hasn't really changed at its core. Jolene handles most of the incoming calls and mountains of paperwork, carefully keeping track of customers and managing new orders. Colton spends his focused hours on complex fabrication work and the smaller technical repairs that keep everything moving smoothly. It's still fundamentally a family operation, just running at a noticeably different scale now. And that precious small-town feel. It hasn't gone anywhere, despite the growth. On any given day, you'll find 3 or 4 ambitious projects in various stages of progress. Maybe a handmade Bugatti replica with incredibly tricky rivet work on the custom hood, a stripped-down motorcycle built creatively from old Suzuki parts, each one moving forward at its own natural pace. Cut, weld, step back, look at it critically from different angles, keep going until it feels absolutely right. That's still exactly how Chad works, the same patient way he always has. No shortcuts, no compromises, just pure dedication to the craft. If this story moved you even a little bit, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that success doesn't always look like fame and fortune. Sometimes it looks like a small shop in Nova Scotia, where a father and son build impossible things together. Drop a comment and let me know. What lesson from Chad's story resonated most with you? And remember, whether you're building cars, starting a business, creating art, or chasing any dream, the path is never straight. Sometimes the cancellations, the setbacks, the losses, and the quiet periods are exactly what you need to become who you're meant to be.